Hi guys, this video is going to act as a response to a video posted by Logcabinlooms. He was digging through some of his old reloading stuff and he found some old Alcan Metal shells and he was wondering if anybody knew anything about them. I don't know if I've got a whole lot to share, but I have a box of these. I managed to find these at a gun show. Came in this box. This is not the original box. The vendor who had these was repackaging them from 100 round cardboard cartons into these old boxes. So I got a box of 25 just as a curiosity mostly, and as you can see they are a metal shell, so kind of an unusual looking shell. I have a close-up look at the head stamp. It says Alcan Incorporated and 12 for 12 gauge, made in the USA. Now they look like they're a brass head, but in fact they're actually a steel head which has been plated with brass just for a little bit of corrosion protection, but as you can see this one's corroding through the brass anyway. It looks like these were stored in a fairly damp place at one point in time or another, starting to oxidize. The body itself is non-magnetic, so I'm not sure whether these are a zinc tube or whether they are a aluminum tube. I kind of lean towards them being aluminum, but I don't have any proof of that. And I got a flashlight here. We'll have a look inside. And as you can see, there's a metal stamped cup in the base of the shell. And if we have a look at through the primer hole there, you can see that there's a composition fiber or paper base wad sandwiched between the case head and that metal liner there. So kind of an unusual shell. And these are from the Alcan company, and I got a few other Alcan things here just kind of for show. Some old Alcan Maxfire primers, and the carton that those came in. And we've got a can of Alcan AL-5, and this stuff was made, this is a full can by the way. It's got the Alcan crest on it there. And I believe this is Swedish, yeah, Bofors. So this is a product which was imported by Alcan, and they purchased it from Bofors in Sweden. And that powder's old, but it's as good as the day it was made. And we got another can of Alcan powder here. This is Alcan AL-8, and this is kind of equivalent to Blue Dot. And you can see it. This is after the company has changed hands a little bit, because it actually mentions Smith Wesson and Fiocchi as well as Alcan. So this can here would have been an earlier one. It doesn't mention anything to do with Smith Wesson. It just mentions the Alcan company of Alton, Illinois. And of course this one mentions Smith Wesson, who later purchased Alcan. So if you're going to reload these are a little bit of a challenge because they are a very thin case. To give you an idea of why that's a challenge, this is here's some Canadian CIL fiber wads. This is a 135 12 gauge card wad, and they are excuse me, they are a very loose fit. This one's been crimped a bit. I should find one that's not been crimped here. These actually, see how that just falls in there? That's too loose a fit. If you try to load these with regular 12 gauge fiber wads, the powder will migrate past the sides of the fiber wads and you'll probably end up with a blooper. So ideally you would have 11 gauge fiber wads to load these. You could probably get by with using a modern gas seal type wad like a Winchester AA, because those modern wads have a gas seal which will expand very tightly and provide a gas seal. However, you're going to need to make a thin wad to put over the powder before you put your modern wad over the top of it. So probably a 10 gauge wad punch would make a good wad to put on top of the powder charge, then put your plastic wad on top of that, and then you would need to seal these either by giving them a taper crimp, which you can adjust most loaders to do, which would basically squeeze the sides of the case in, or you could do it the old-fashioned way, which is put a top card on top and then put some water glass around the perimeter to seal the top of the shell in place. But these are a very long-lasting shell, any of these metal ones, especially if they're not resized. If you use these in a double gun and you don't resize them, they will last a very long time. So anyway, I got them mostly, like I said, as a curiosity because I collect this kind of stuff. Anyway, just thought that might be of some interest to Log Cabin Looms, just to see. Oh, I have one more item here. I almost forgot about it. I've got the original loading sheet, which goes. These came with the shell. So there's the original loading sheet, and it mentions the new unprimed Alcan Metal shot shell. 12 gauge only. Use max fire primer. Well, you know, we're set to go. We got Alcan max fire primers. And use PG5 plastic wad. So they had a plastic wad apparently purpose made for this shell. I guess I should have read this a little closely before I did the video. So it mentions the United States patent, so I guess you could go online and look up that patent number if you were really keen. And perfect shells, every load. So I'll just go through that kind of slowly. You can pause that if you want to read it. The metal overlay cup, we had a look at that. Let's see. So, you can have a look at that side, and then we'll flip it over here. And it's got some loading data. And we'll scan that slowly. Once again, it mentions there 11 gauge Alcan wads. And gives some cautions about over crimping. Like I said, if you want to look at this more closely, just pause your browser and you can read the contents of this. And for anybody who's really keen and who has some of these shells, I might be able to make a scan of this and send it to you. So anyway, there we go. That's about all I have on these old shells. I probably could find some more references in some of my old shot shell loading books. I've got some really old lineman books and so forth. So anyway, hope that's of interest. We'll talk to you later.